Hello everyone and welcome to my 10.1.5 Fire Mage guide. Time to watch the world burn. This is the peak mage performance at the minute. So let's talk about stats first. Stats for a Fire Mage. You want to get as much haste as possible, and then afterwards you want versatility. Lastly, you want to crit and mastery, however you don't go for any of these. However, in cleave encounters, mastery do gain more favor. Now let's talk about talents. Currently there are 3 setups for Fire Mage. You have a pure single target, or a single target focused, pretty much for raiding. Then you have a Mythic Plus focus, where you're going for burst damage, roughly 7% more than the full AoE talents. For your single target class talents, you have stuff like Incancer's Flow, you have Overflowing Energy, Shifting Power, which is extremely important for fire. You have Temporal Warp as well. Temporal Warp is, as always, the strongest thing in the world because you love haste. Gaining an additional 30% haste during your opener burst. It's incredible how much additional damage a second time warp actually gives you. Time anomaly, you never pick. You already have such a high uptime on combustion that the additional combustion uptime doesn't matter. Your fire blast charge randomly resetting can mess up how you plan for stuff and means that you have to be way more micro managing. And time warp for 6 seconds doesn't really do anything unless those 6 seconds happen during our Sun King's Blessing. So in my opinion, you should always go Temporal Warp as a Fire Mage, similar to an Arcane Mage. Now, for fire specifically, Dragon's Breath can actually be used as an offensive cooldown with this talent, Alexstrasza Fury, which we will get into in a later section. Now, defensively, Fire Mage are very tanky. You have your moderate absorb from Blazing Barrier, you have mirror images, you have alter time, snapshotting your HP, resetting you to the position and the health point when you used it, when you press it a second time or after the 10 seconds duration. You also gain access to Cryo Freeze, which normally heals you while you're in Ice Block. However, if you pick up Ice Cold, you will gain the heal over 6 seconds rather than over 10 seconds. You also gain access to Greater Invisibility, very powerful 60% damage reduction, and Mass Barrier for an additional application of your barrier. You also have a passive 4% from Arcane Warding, so in general, Fire Mages are very powerful, very tanky. Another thing for fire regarding tankiness and defensive layers, you also gain access to Cauterize. Basically, you get a cheat death as fire. Going over your Spectre as fire, you have Pyroblast, Fire Blast, Phoenix Flames, Scorch. You will always pick up these 4 as this is part of your core rotation as a Fire Mage. You also pick up Searing Torch, and when we are in Execute, we gain a lot of additional guaranteed crits, which can then further our game plan. You also have stuff like Firestarter, which personally I hate playing around, but it's extremely powerful. It basically makes it so your opener has your Firestarter phase and your combustion phase, and then you have your main phase afterwards, which is basically just trying to lose out on damage. A huge power node is Flame On, giving you additional Fire Blast charges and also reducing the cooldown of them. We also pick up Alexstrasza's Fury, making that our Phoenix Flames and our Dragon's Breath gain a critical strike and contribute to what is known as a hot streak, which I will go into after I've finished explaining the talents. You have your main cooldown, Combustion, which is basically going to make sure that all spells you cast are guaranteed critical strikes. Combustion is a 2-minute cooldown, however, it's not really a 2-minute cooldown, simply because of Kindling. It's very common that throughout your Combustion, you will have roughly 40 to 45 seconds left on your combustion when you're done. You also have Wildfire, which is gonna give you more crit strike damage. Lastly, we have Sun King's Blessing. Sun King's Blessing have become the bread and butter for the spec. Basically, whenever we consume 8 hot streaks, we get our next non-instant either Pyro or Flame Strike to give us combustion for 6 seconds and deal a buttload of additional damage. This is going to be what you play around as Fire Mage even during your combustion, because Pyroblast for me currently have a 3 seconds cast time, which means that even in combustion, hard casting a pyro will grant me 3 more seconds of combustion. It's important to note, however, Sun King's Blessing combustion is a separate type of combustion. When you use combustion from Sun King's Blessing, if you press your regular combustion right after that combustion is on, it will just be reset to your true combustion. However, having combustion on while casting, this will just extend combustion or add 6 seconds to it. Now, combustion can be cast while you're casting another spell, so whenever we have Sun King's Blessing and combustion, you want to press combustion right before you finish your cast. Now you might have noticed that I've picked up Living Bomb in a pure single target situation. This is simply due to pathing, because we don't really care about these two talents, but we really care about Firefall. Basically, Firefall is just a passive application of Meteor, which does quite a decent amount of damage. Now talking about the core of Fire Mage. Right now I do have Firestarter, so I will gain more critical strikes. This proc we just got is called Heating Up. Heating Up is basically whenever we score critical hit, if we get another crit in a row, we gain a hot streak proc. This can be done with any of your single target spells or a Fire Blast, for instance. This now grants me hot streak, making that I basically have a instant pyro or flame strike, which does more damage. This now gives me a stack of my Sun King's Blessing. So basically what you want to do in your opener is build up to 8 stacks of Sun King's Blessing, which you can do by spell queuing, which I just did there, where I channeled a fireball and cast a pyro right as that fireball left. Now we're building up to 8. Now we have 30 seconds to go into this combustion. For an instance, this is going to be how you would do your combust phase. So right now I would go combustion, pyro, and then it's just getting as many pyros in as you can, reducing the cooldown of your combustion as well, and trying to build up to another Sun King's Blessing, which I can do now. Normally in Sun King's Blessing, you always want to have 2 stacks of Fire Blast ready. However, it's all about managing your hot streaks and your heating up procs. So your general rotation is just fire blasting away and making sure that, oh, okay, now I could fire off an instant pyro, so I'm just going to queue it at the end. And that's basically your filler rotation, like keeping this going throughout the entirety of a fight. Now let's talk about the 4 phases of Fire Mage. This is going to be our opener without time warp. So before pull, you want to go Pyroblast into a Phoenix Flames, Hot Streak, and try to get as many Sun King's Blessing stacks as possible. Now, currently this target dummy is going to be below execute range, so I could actually Scorch to speed this process up. But once you're out of your Fire Blast naturally, you want to go into Shifting Power, rebuild and use 1 pyro or 1 Fire Blast to get into your hot streak. Now you want to go into a pyro combustion, Fire Blast, pyro, Fire Blast, pyro. Keep your stacks up, making sure you don't overcap on anything, and just blast away. Now throughout the last second I would Ice Nova, and then I could go into a Sun King's Blessing here. And that's basically your opener. Now, as you can see, I have roughly a minute left on my combustion. It's a given. Talking and playing the game is not always as easy, especially when it's a highly reactive playstyle like Fire tends to be. Basically, it's just you want to make sure that you spend all your Fire Blast charges and you're keeping up your Phoenix Flames on the target. And then once you're out of those, you want to go into Shifting Power. As soon as you hit one of 2 conditions, either you get a Sun King's Blessing or your target is no longer above 90% HP. Then you want to go into your combustion and just try to get as many Pyroblasts into your target as humanly possible. Outside of your combustion, you're basically just trying to keep building to your next Sun King's Blessing. It's all about your Sun King Blessings and how many you can get off throughout an entirety of a fight. For M+, I like to pick up Remove Curse, Spell Steal, Ring of Frost, making sure that we use our Blast Wave. We have a lot of utility as a Fire Mage or a Mage in general that we can use to help. The majority of the changes for from our single target to our AoE rotation is basically we want to use Flame Strike now rather than Pyroblast. This doesn't really change a whole lot for us to be honest. The main difference in our AoE is whether we have Flame Patch or not. Now, if we have Flame Patch, as soon as we have more than 2 targets, you want to substitute your pyros with Flame Strike. In combustion, it's 3 targets. So outside of combustion, 2 targets, inside combustion, 3 targets. If you have 3 or more targets present and they will be staying in your Flame Patch, it is worth just keep hard casting Flame Strikes as I do here. Now, if you don't have Flame Patch, the values changes a little bit. Rather than using pyros for your instant cast, you need 4 or more targets, and during combustion you have to have 6 or more targets before it's actually worth casting a Flame Strike over a Pyroblast. Now, something you will need to learn in AoE or in M+ as a Fire Mage is Scorch sniping, which means that even though we have this entire pack we're fighting over here, we're actually utilizing low health targets to generate guaranteed Scorch procs or crit procs. This makes it so that we can do a buttload more damage simply by just blasting away and utilizing a low health target nearby. Overall, your AoE rotation doesn't really change a whole lot, since you still want to be applying Phoenix Flames, so you get the Charring Embers debuff, and then it's just exchanging your Pyroblast for Flame Strikes, and then try to snipe with Scorch. And yeah, that's actually about it. Hopefully you find this guide helpful, and until next time, bye!